You've built the perfect vision board. You've filled journals with affirmations. And yet, the unease remains. The tight grip on life. The silent fear that maybe, just maybe, it won't work. What if I told you the answer isn't in some modern secret, but in the ancient teachings of masters like Jesus, Buddha, and Lao Tzu? They were all pointing to the very same law, but not in the way you've been told. Not as a tool to get what your ego wants, but as a path to remembering who you truly are. The real law of attraction is not about the fire of desire. It's about the deep ocean of alignment. And once you feel that, everything changes. There was a time I thought I understood this. I read the books. I made the vision boards. I repeated the affirmations. And sure, sometimes things happened. A coincidence here, a small win there. But deep down, the anxiety was still there. I was still trying to control life, to force it into the shape I wanted. I was still secretly, desperately afraid that it wouldn't work. And maybe you've been there too. Trying to attract something, money, love, a sense of peace, but what comes back is a deafening silence. Delay. Confusion. Frustration. I used to think I was doing something wrong, that I was failing some cosmic test. Does any of this sound familiar? Let me know in the comments what your biggest frustration has been on this path. I realized the truth, I wasn't doing it wrong. I was just trying to manifest from the wrong place entirely. Most of what we see today about the law of attraction is the ego in spiritual disguise. A prettier, more hopeful mask for the same old fear. I'm not enough unless I get what I want. But the masters, the ones who truly walk this path before us, they didn't teach us to attract from lack. They showed us how to become so profoundly aligned with life that what's meant for us arrives without force, without struggle. You don't manifest by making demands of the universe. You become a vessel that's open, still, and finally ready to receive. Jesus said, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." This isn't wishful thinking. This is not a game of pretend. This is a state of deep, surrendered faith. The kind of unwavering faith that isn't shaken by delay. That doesn't frantically look around for proof. Jesus wasn't talking about forcing God to give you what you want. He was pointing to a state of inner certainty, an unshakable knowing, where your trust in the divine plan becomes infinitely stronger than your fear of not receiving. He also said, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added to you." In other words, seek alignment first. The rest follows. Not because you chased it down, but because you finally stopped chasing. Buddha said, "With our thoughts, we make the world." But he wasn't teaching you to visualize a sports car. He was teaching you to observe your mind. To see, with gentle clarity, how desire itself creates suffering. And how true peace arises only when we no longer cling. The law of attraction, in its pure, original form, is not about getting more. It's about becoming free. When your mind becomes as still as a mountain lake, when your very being becomes light and unburdened, the universe reflects that stillness and light back to you. Not because you told it to, but because it always mirrors what you are. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe. And even deeper than that, you attract what you embody. Lao Tzu wrote, "By doing nothing, everything is done." That sounds like a paradox. Until you feel its truth in your bones. The Tao, the way, the flow of life, doesn't respond to brute force. It responds to surrender. It responds to flow. When you try to manifest from a place of tension and control, you are pushing life away. But when you release that death grip, when you become quiet inside, you start to feel the universal current. And that current brings you exactly where your soul is meant to go. This is Wu Wei, effortless action. It is not laziness. It is the deepest form of trust. Lao Tzu wasn't teaching another technique. He was showing us a way of being. Be empty. Be present. Be soft. And life itself will fill you with exactly what your soul needs, not just what your ego wants. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "You have the right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions." He did not say stop acting. He did not say give up. He said act, but let go of the outcome completely. Most people today are trying to manifest results. Krishna invites us to manifest devotion. To act from a place of love. From presence. From alignment with our true purpose, our Dharma. When you begin to move from your soul, you stop trying to bargain with the universe. And you start, finally, to dance with it. Rumi, the ecstatic mystic, whispered this timeless secret: what you seek is seeking you. But here is the part we often miss. It can only find you when you stop running away from yourself. If you chase love from a place of deep loneliness, you will only find more reflections of your loneliness. But if you do the inner work to become love, love has no choice but to find you. It recognizes its home. He also said, "Don't get lost in your pain, know that one day your pain will become your cure." And maybe that's the real reason the law of attraction fails for so many. Because they're trying to manifest a new life without first healing their current one. You don't attract what you fantasize about. You attract what you have made peace with. What you have finally become one with. What you have forgiven, most of all, in yourself. All of these masters, in their own language, their own time, were pointing to the very same truth. Not in exact words, perhaps, but in vibration, in spirit, in essence. They weren't teaching a worldly course on how to get things. They were teaching a divine curriculum on how to become clear, to become aligned, to return to your own natural frequency. The frequency you had before fear, before noise, before the ego built its walls. That is the moment when attraction becomes natural. Not a technique. Not a secret. But an inevitable consequence of your own wholeness. Now, I won't stand here and pretend I have mastered this. I haven't. I still fall into wanting. I still feel the pull of old patterns. I still catch myself trying to control, to plan, to force. But more and more, I am learning to listen. To breathe. To release my grip and let life show me the way. Because I have noticed something miraculous. The less I chase, the more peace I feel. And the more peace I feel, the more life brings me precisely what I didn't even know my soul was asking for. Maybe that is the real law of attraction. Not manifesting what you want, but becoming who you truly are. And letting life meet you there, in that sacred space. What if you stopped trying to attract things, and started the sacred work of becoming the kind of soul that light simply loves to rest in? What if the universe isn't testing you, but is patiently waiting for you to remember your own power? What if everything you are desperately chasing on the outside is already inside you, just waiting for you to slow down enough to finally feel it? Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu. They didn't need vision boards. Because they became the vision. And maybe that is your next step. Not to ask for more, but to become still enough that you can finally receive what has always been yours. If this resonated with you, if you felt a flicker of truth in these words, it's not because I said anything new. It's because you, on some deep level, already knew it. Your soul recognized it. And if you're walking this path too, not as a flawless master, but as a perfectly imperfect human, then click subscribe, and let's keep remembering together. Because this was never about the law of attraction. It's about becoming so true to yourself, that life has no choice but to respond in kind.